The key to effective marketing is relevancy. In every situation, we, consumers, are in a constant state of asking, is this thing for me? Is this for me? Is this the right thing for me? Is this for me? This is micro stuff like when we first visit a website and we make judgments about its design or colors or buttons or how easy it is to use. Or if we walk into a retail store, do we like how things are laid out? Do we like the lighting? Does it have a smell? These are all these tiny little things that we're doing in real time, but also big stuff. Does this thing that I'm looking at seem to solve the problem that I'm researching? Is the price fair? Do I think that this company has values that I align with? All of these things are constantly going on with us as we're asking, is this for me? Is this for me? The brands that we buy from are constantly trying to say, yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is for you. Yes, this is for you. So the small things and the big things matter. We've talked in some other videos about how brands understand what we value, thinking about the flex, the feels, or the function. Go ahead and hit that link if you want to watch that video. This is a great companion to it. Good brands also understand what motivates us. We're trying to save time, or we're trying to save money, or we're looking for a great experience. There's another aspect that great brands pay attention to, and that is, do they know what we know, and can they prove it? My name is Chris Bintliff, and these are transmissions from Not Really Rocket Science, where we study the technology, techniques, learning, and lifestyle of the modern marketing engine. The knowledge that we acquire over time as we seek to understand a product or a value proposition, and then as we get familiar with it, that knowledge evolves and adapts and adjusts. We start out looking, usually casually, to see what's out there, or what might this thing be like, or might this thing solve my problem? And the more we investigate, the more we get to know, the more we settle on something. Yeah, this one might do it. And then our understanding of the original problem or value proposition continues to evolve, to adjust, to change. The more brands are able to market to us according to what we know, the more relevant their nurturing of us in their marketing can be. As always, I think it's good for us to know this stuff because as consumers, the brands that we buy from, the good ones, spend a lot of time and energy, resources and money trying to figure this stuff about us. So I think it's good for us to understand better what it is that they're trying to accomplish. On the other hand, if you run a business, are involved in business leadership, are somehow involved in sales, if you're in any way part of the machinery of how a thing gets sold, it's really good for you to understand some of these things about your consumers so that you can better align what you're trying to do with what they are trying to do. That's relevancy. So there are 3 knowledge phases, and we employ these when we're trying to research or better understand some product or value proposition of consequence. So it's not the kind of thing that we usually employ if it's just a impulse or inconsequential purchase, but something that means something to us. These are knowledge phases that we're going to be leveraging as we get into it. The first is called the Investigator. The Investigator is clueless or almost clueless. They're just trying to better understand or research what's out there. So imagine they're looking for a car. They're not researching trim models of SUVs. They're trying to make a decision between an SUV or a CRV or what's the difference in a hatchback or a pickup. They're doing some broad research to just better understand what's out there and what's available. When we are investigators, we're not yet sensitive to price because we don't have a frame of reference. We don't know what's expensive. We don't know what's fair. We don't know what's overpriced. We don't know what the great brands are. We don't know what the great technology is. That's why we're investigating. We're trying to figure this all out. So marketers will respond to investigators with language that makes them feel understood, that doesn't intimidate them, never makes them feel stupid. And so they're going to avoid acronyms and lingo and jargon, and they're going to use a lot of use case scenarios. A lot of this helps you do that, or you can achieve more of this, or it's easier than ever to do this. Trying to get them to understand what they can do with this thing. This is often where the entry level or the base model of a product or a suite of products, if a company has a portfolio of products, is going to come into play. A great example of this is on Apple's website if we look at the iPad, not the iPad Pro, not the iPad Air, not the iPad Mini, but the base model, the basic iPad. One of the first things that we'll see on this website is this big cursive, soft, round hand script writing, which is meant to allude to the pencil, the Apple Pencil. And so you'll see it here and you'll see it here with the Bionic chip. All these little side comments are going to be written in this pencil. And then as we get into the content, it's going to tell us that we can combine tremendous capability with unmatched ease of use and versatility. So right away, we're trying to put our audience at ease. Easy to use, versatile, powerful. As I slide down, We can talk about all the things that we can do. So a lot of use case stuff. Getting work done is all hustle and no hassle. We can edit, we can do FaceTime calls, we can attach a keyboard. Look at all these verbs, things that we can do with it. That's what they're trying to kind of convince us of or talk us into with this marketing. Good marketing is a lot of showing and not telling, and Apple does that really well, just in general. But they're going to show us this product at work. And then again, more verbs, mark up PDFs, take notes, highlight and erase. So they're just telling us how this thing works. Another great example of investigator marketing is the iPhone SE, which Apple sort of treats as like the entry model on their online marketing. SE packs a remarkably powerful chip into our most popular size at our most affordable price. It's just what you've been waiting for. The insinuation there is, if you haven't yet jumped into iPhone or even smartphones, this is just what you've been waiting for. One of the things that investigators really like is a deeper understanding of something that might be technical or difficult to understand on its face. So for instance, the A13 chip, that doesn't mean anything to anybody, but Apple's does a great job right here of spelling it out, and it uses an animation to show me the power of the A13 chip. So clearly has to do with motion graphics, clearly has to do with the way things work and the way things operate. And now it's going to tell us what it does. Everything feels fluid. Launching apps, playing the latest games, or exploring new ways to work and play with augmented reality. Great job of taking something that's kind of esoteric, like a chip, and grounding it in something that I can better understand, like use cases. Another example is if we head over to the Ford website, we can look at all their different CUVs or SUVs. And if we look at the EcoSport, it's their base model, their lowest price vehicle, and it's going to tell us what we can do. Turn heads with style and comfort. Errands throughout the day or night out on the town. You can drive with confidence. So it's multi-purpose. They're letting us know all the things we can do with this. So good marketing for the investigator, use cases, examples, scenarios, kind of want to picture you using it, and they want to make that easy for you to do. Not going to be heavy on specs or numbers or metrics or speeds and feeds or any of the data stuff. That's not for this audience. This audience wants a basic understanding of what they can do with the thing. Our second knowledge phase is the Contemplator. So the Contemplator has familiarity with this value proposition. They've used something like this before, and now they're looking for something else. It could be a replacement, it could be a bolt-on or an add-on, some sort of enhancement. They're trying to make more out of something that they already understand. And making more could mean just refining or enhancing, or it could mean replacing. Contemplators are interested in head-to-head competition. They want to better understand this model versus that model, or this year's versus last year's, or this versus the competitors. A good example of contemplator marketing is online at Apple's website with the iPhone 12 marketing. Now, if you've seen my iPhone 12 Pro Ultimate review, I was critical of this marketing, and here's why. As we scroll down into iPhone 12, it's going to tell us big news, and this is something contemplators love. It is 11% thinner, 15% smaller, 16% lighter. The problem is that assumes you have some frame of reference. Thinner than what? Smaller than what? Lighter than what? So the contemplator knows that. The contemplator knows that you mean compared to some other model that I'm probably familiar with. My problem with the iPhone 12 marketing, which I talked about in the other video, is it seems to only be talking to people who have a frame of reference. So in other words, the SE is perfect if you don't know anything about iPhone, but not the iPhone 12, which I don't think is true. I think the iPhone 12 is great for investigators, but Apple isn't necessarily marketing to investigators. A lot of their marketing for the iPhone 12 talks to people who already know what this stuff is. They get some of the lingo, they get some of the jargon. Contemplators aren't intimidated by jargon, but they're also not really excited by it either. They don't know what it means. They don't have an expert level sense of this stuff, but they have a frame of reference for it and they're willing to explore it. Another thing that contemplators really like are options. So part of what they might be looking at is just trim levels, or in this case, colors. They want to see what else is out there. Accessories are almost by definition marketing to the contemplator. This gets into the idea that we don't need to spend like years as investigators before we become contemplators. We don't need to have owned some product before we get into contemplating some addition. We may make a decision as investigators about something, in this case a phone, and the very next thing we do is, well, let's pick out a case for it. In that moment, we become contemplators. We're looking for an enhancement, an add-on, a benefit too. Apple continues to do a really great job for contemplators when on their app they know what kind of device you have, and they will tell you as you're exploring accessories, this works well with what you have. So they take some of the cognitive load off of you having to figure out, will this work with what I own? And they'll tell you, yes, this works good with what you own. That's a great contemplator marketing move. Let's go back to Ford. They've got some commercials that are specifically pitting the Chevy Silverado versus the Ford F-150. And so in that commercial, they're going to call you out. Are you considering this? You should consider that. And they're going to put features next to each other, and they're going to put head-to-head kind of testing. That's interesting. It's visual. It's visceral. It's tactile. It makes us be able to picture what it would be like to own one versus the other. And if they do their marketing well, then we say, oh, it's a no-brainer. This one's clearly better than that one. All contemplator marketing. The third knowledge phase is what I call the innovator. The innovator has an expert level sense of things. The expert level is not by your definition, it's by their own. So they've owned a thing for several months or several years, or they're deeply familiar with it, or they understand well how it works. Maybe they understand well how it works because they have a general sense of expertise with this, software for instance, or software as a service, and they understand how to compare things even if they've never owned it. They're looking for a very specific thing to improve. Could be a user experience, could be a new functionality, could be a displeasure with some alternative value proposition or something that they're used to. So they're looking for very specific answers to questions that they have in their head. They love speeds and feeds. They love numbers, they love metrics. The innovator does not want to waste time with anything other than, can it do this very specific thing? So back to Apple's website, marketing to the buyer of the Mac Pro. As we start to slide down, we can immediately see that there's something different. We can download a white paper, and it's full of specs. Look at all these descriptions of the architecture and all these technical words, acronyms, jargon. The innovator loves that stuff. They know exactly what they're looking for with that kind of stuff. And as I slide down the page, I'm going to see more about how it works. Apple's going to use its animations to sort of describe things to me, help me see how things function and how they work. But they do it in a way that really speaks to my expertise. 28 cores of power. L2 and L3 caches, 64 PCI Express. The newbie doesn't know or care what these things mean and they're intimidated by them. The expert deeply knows what these things mean. So this is a great example of why we got to get this stuff right. Can you imagine how inappropriate it would be to put the fluffy, cursive, round, soft language that we saw with the iPad onto this Pro page? Pros would be totally turned off. They would say, look, I got to get to work. I don't know who this is for, but it's not for somebody serious about their work like I am. People who are rendering the 3D movies that you and I go to when we go to movies. That's who are using these things. $50,000 can be invested into a Mac Pro. They're looking for serious expert level conversation. On the flip side, can you imagine how intimidating it would be for the iPad user to download the white paper and then see a bunch of jargon and acronyms? They'd be overwhelmed. They'd say, this, I don't even understand. Just what's simpler? This gets back to our original discussion, is this the right thing for me? This is why it's important to get this right. When brands talk to us in ways that we feel understood, we develop trust. We develop trust for how they're talking to us, what they're talking to us about, and this value proposition in general. If I'm looking for an entry-level thing and I'm talked to in a way that doesn't make me feel stupid or talk down to me, but appreciates that I might be new to this by helping me understand what I can do with it, I'm going to build an affinity for that. Eventually, maybe that's the value proposition that I'll pick up, the product that I'll buy. On the other hand, if we don't tell them enough and they're looking for more information, they'll say, this isn't for me either. I'm an expert and I need to be talked to like a person who already understands these basics. Don't waste my time. I need to know very specifically, can it do this? How will it do that? How much does it cost to do this? Those are the questions that I'm asking as an expert. When brands get it wrong, they risk alienating or isolating us from what could be a perfect fit for us, but they're just not doing enough to help us see that. I think that's what's happening with iPhone 12. I think it could be great for people who are brand new to iPhone, but it isn't really being marketed to those people. This leaves me, as the consumer, having to answer my own question, is this for me? Is this for me? Is this for me? When I really want a lot of help from somebody saying, yeah, this could be for you, this could be for you, that could be for you. Now, one way that some brands completely circumvent this discussion about knowledge phase or having to market to the right sort of situation or circumstance, and I like to use this myself in the right situation, it can be very effective, is through what I call choosing your own adventure. If I go to Sony's website and I look at the Xperia 5 Mark II, and I scroll down, it gives me use cases. Am I a photographer, a movie lover, a music lover, a mobile gamer, the perfect fit, or for performance? So if I click on movie lovers, it's going to show me all the features and benefits that as somebody who's really buying this for the movies or for the visual experience might benefit from. Now they don't have to worry or wonder about who I am and what I'm doing. They're going to put me in complete command of that. Puts a little bit more weight on me. I kind of need to figure out my own path, but a lot of us really love to be empowered with that own path. Let me do my research and figure out for me what makes the most sense. Bose does a great job of this too. On their website for headphones, they've got a headphone assistant. What type of headphone do you prefer? Over-ear, in-ear, open-ear. Let's say over-ear. Now they're asking, where are you planning to use your headphones most? Great question. So they're not saying, do you want active noise canceling? Which maybe I don't know the answer to that. Maybe I don't even know what active noise canceling is. Instead, they're saying, well, wait, how do you want to use it? So if I say travel and commuting, now they're going to say, well, what's most important to you? Wireless or voice assistant or touch control or phone calls? I don't know, maybe wireless? So now they're going to give me some recommendations. We've looked at examples from Apple or Bose or Sony or Ford. These are huge companies with a lot of reach that help me illustrate my points, but most companies can't do all things to all types of buyers, and they're stupid if they try. They'll fail. They're smart if they can put more of their resources into one, maybe two of these. And if it's going to be two, it's usually going to be the Investigator and the Contemplator. That's called an upsell, when they can create something and sell it to you at kind of a base level, but then say, you know, we also have this enhancement or accessory or bonus or whatever. You might really like this too. Oh yeah, that's cool, add that on. Now I've sort of accommodated my Investigator and my Contemplator. A different kind of company is only going to want to talk to the experts, the innovators. It will be a waste of their time and resources to try to simplify or water down their solution to also accommodate people who are brand new to a thing. It just doesn't make sense to them. They're going to be the companies that are really great in that expert level space. So keep an eye on this as a consumer. If you're getting a lot of language that is very easy to understand, very friendly, very sort of tailored to use case scenarios, they might be talking to somebody like you who is just investigating, trying to figure something out. If they're using a lot of speeds and feeds and numbers and metrics and comparisons, and you aren't in that space where you're trying to have this expert level sense of things, then be wary, because that might not be the right solution for you. On the other hand, if you're looking for that expert solution, make sure that you're being connected to with language that really accommodates your sense to need to know specific and precise things. If you're not getting that, that might not be the right solution for you. By the way, if you're out there and you're running a business, or you're a business leader, or you're a salesperson or whatever, manager, and you're wondering, this is interesting, but does any of this apply to me? It does. All of these things apply business to business too. Some things to look out for is the Investigator and the Contemplator in business to business will often be in a brand new role, and they'll be looking to assert themselves or create some successes or quick wins or quickly gain status or save face or look good in front of others. Go back to that flex, feels, and function video if you want to learn a little bit more about that. But that Investigator is going to be looking to you and saying, we've been doing it this old way for a long time. We know we need to update, and we're looking for solutions, or we're looking for what's out there. Can you help us with this? Can you help us with that? Or to the Contemplator, they might be saying, at my previous job or a previous company, we did this thing, and we're looking for people who can maybe do that here. Can you do more of this? Can you do more of that? The expert level is going to come to you and say something like, look, we have discovered some inefficiencies and we'd like to better automate our email inside of HubSpot. Or, you know, we're looking for a CRM vendor who really understands Microsoft Dynamics, like super specific things. But the same thing is true. You need to come to those people with the right language to solve the problems that they're looking to have solved. If you're not an expert level, then don't put a bunch of expert level jargon on your website or in your sales proposals or whatever. If you are expert level and you don't want to waste your time with the smaller things or the more investigator-minded things, then make sure that you make that clear in your marketing. We talk to experts who are looking for. We talk to experienced vendors who are looking for, whatever it is. So this is how we as consumers and the brands we buy from, or the brands we run, if that's who you are, connect better and create more relevancy in our marketing with our customers by better understanding what they know, so that we have to prove to them we know what you know, and we want you to know that we know. That's what I think. What do you think? I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and comment on transmissions from Not Really Rocket Science. Learn more at notreallyrocketscience.com.